She was born a princess, destined for love, honor, and a crown. But on her journey to meet her future husband, betrayal struck from the one she trusted most. Stripped of her identity, silenced by fear, and forced to tend geese in a foreign land, she became the forgotten princess, the goose girl. Yet within her heart burned quiet courage, stronger than royal blood and purer than gold. Hers is not just a fairy tale, it's a story of how innocence endures, how truth rises even from humiliation, and how justice, once denied, returns with the strength of destiny. This is the timeless tale of the Goose Girl, a story of tragedy, betrayal, and ultimate triumph. Long ago, in a kingdom framed by blue mountains and golden meadows, there lived a young princess named Elara. She was gentle, wise, and kind to all, even to the smallest sparrow. Her mother, the queen, adored her deeply, but sorrow shadowed the castle halls. The time had come for Elara to leave her home and marry a distant prince, sealing an alliance between kingdoms. Before her departure, the queen took her aside and said, "My dearest child, this journey will test you in ways you cannot imagine. Take this charmed handkerchief. As long as you keep it close, my love will protect you." Elara wept as she kissed her mother's hands. "I'll make you proud, mother." A great carriage was prepared. Elara set out with her maidservant, Mira, who had served her since childhood. The queen entrusted Mira to protect her daughter on the journey. For days they traveled through forests and valleys, their horses clattering on cobblestone roads. At first, Mira was humble and quiet, but as they journeyed farther, her tone changed. She began to speak sharply, to mock Elara's delicate hands and noble ways. "You act like a queen already," she sneered. "Do you think you'll rule me too?" Elara, gentle as always, said softly, "You've been my companion since I was a child. Why speak so harshly?" But Mira's envy had been festering for years. She had seen Elara's beauty, her jewels, and the love the queen gave her. Each kindness Elara offered became a wound in Mira's bitter heart. When they reached a lonely meadow, the betrayal began. "I'm tired of serving you," Mira hissed. "Get down from the horse." Elara froze. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Mira said, pulling a dagger from her cloak, "we're trading places." Elara's world shattered. Elara stared at her maid, disbelief flooding her heart. "You cannot mean this," she whispered. Mira's eyes gleamed with cruelty. "Oh, but I do. You will switch clothes with me, or you will never reach the next kingdom alive." With trembling hands, Elara obeyed. She removed her royal gown, her crown, her jewels, everything that marked her as a princess. In exchange, Mira donned the royal garments, her face alight with wicked triumph. "Now," she said mockingly, "you shall serve me." Elara clutched her enchanted handkerchief, whispering, "Mother, help me." But in her panic, she dropped it into the river that ran beside the road. The water swallowed it whole. In that moment, the queen's protection vanished. "Now," Mira commanded, "you will swear never to reveal who you truly are. Speak a word, and I'll see you dead." Elara, powerless and afraid, nodded. They continued their journey until they reached the prince's castle. When they arrived, the guards bowed to Mira, mistaking her for the princess. Elara followed behind, now dressed in rags. The false princess smiled sweetly at the prince, Prince Alden, who was captivated by her beauty, but puzzled by her arrogance. "You seem different from what I expected," he admitted. Mira laughed lightly. "Travel changes a person." Meanwhile, Elara was sent to work among the servants. Her name was erased, her story forgotten. No one looked twice at her, except an old stable master who pitied the quiet girl with sorrowful eyes. He arranged for her to tend the geese by the meadow. And so the true princess became the goose girl, her royal voice replaced by the soft songs she sang to the birds. Each night as the stars appeared, she whispered, "Mother, if you can hear me, give me strength." And though the wind carried her words, no answer came. Days turned into weeks. Ilara's hands, once smooth, became rough from labor. Yet, despite her hardship, she found solace in her geese. She named them all, Silverwing, Alder, and Little Briar, and they followed her faithfully. Among the servants, she was known only as the mute goose girl. She spoke little, and when she did, her words were soft and kind. Even in misery, her gentleness remained. The old stablemaster, Conrad, watched her closely. "There's something royal in that one," he murmured. He had served many nobles and recognized grace when he saw it. One morning, the prince rode past the meadow. His horse reared at the sight of the girl's shining hair as sunlight caught it. "Who is she?" he asked. "Just the goose girl," Conrad replied. But the prince's curiosity grew. Each day, he found himself passing the meadow again, listening to her song. There was sorrow in her voice, a truth deeper than beauty. Meanwhile, Mira, the false princess, lived in fear. Every time the prince looked at her, she felt his suspicion. Her cruel heart could mimic charm, but not warmth. The castle whispered behind her back that the bride-to-be seemed heartless. One afternoon, as Ilara tended the geese near the fountain, she whispered her secret to the water. "If only someone knew who I truly am." The fountain shimmered, and for a moment she thought she heard her mother's voice in the wind. Truth always finds its way home. That evening, Conrad approached her. "Girl," he said softly, "I've seen how you carry yourself, like one born to more than this. Tell me, who are you really?" Ilara hesitated but trusted his kind eyes. "I am the princess," she confessed, tears falling. "My maid betrayed me and took my place." Conrad bowed low. "Then justice will be done." Conrad devised a plan. He went to the prince and said, "Your Highness, the goose girl carries a great secret. If you truly wish to know her heart, let her speak to the iron stove in the great hall. She will confess to no one else." The prince, intrigued, agreed. That night, Ilara was brought before the cold iron stove, believing she was alone. "Speak freely," Conrad whispered. "The stove can keep a secret." Ilara knelt and began to weep. "Oh, iron stove, once I was a princess," she sobbed. "My maid betrayed me, stole my crown, and forced me to serve among geese. The handkerchief my mother gave me is lost, and my heart is heavy with shame." Hidden behind a curtain, the prince listened, astonished. He stepped forward, saying gently, "You need not cry to iron any more." Ilara gasped. "My lord!" He knelt beside her. "You are the true princess. I can see it now. No maid could possess such humility and grace." The prince confronted Mira the next day. At first, she laughed. "Lies!" she cried. But when the prince presented the recovered handkerchief, found by the riverbank, glowing faintly, her face turned pale. The court erupted. Mira fell to her knees, begging for mercy. "It was jealousy!" she screamed. "I only wanted what she had." The prince's voice was cold. "You wanted her crown. Now you shall wear her shame." Mira was banished from the kingdom, her name struck from record. Ilara, trembling, was clothed once more in royal garments. When she looked into the mirror, she barely recognized herself, not the fragile girl who left her mother, but a woman tempered by pain and courage. The wedding of Princess Ilara and Prince Alden was unlike any other. Bells rang across the kingdom, and the people cheered for the return of the true princess. Yet Ilara's joy was quiet, her triumph humble. "It wasn't revenge that freed me," she said softly. "It was truth." The queen, hearing of her daughter's ordeal, traveled to the kingdom. When she embraced Ilara, tears of relief fell onto the princess's crown. "You have endured more than any ruler should," she whispered, "but your heart remained pure, and that is your greatest victory." Ilara ruled beside Alden with wisdom and compassion. She ordered that no servant would ever be mistreated in her court, no voice silenced by fear. The old stablemaster Conrad was honored with the Royal Medal of Courage, and the geese of the meadow were cared for until their final days. The fountain near the meadow became sacred, where villagers came to whisper their burdens. They said that sometimes, when the wind blew, the water shimmered, as if a princess's song still lingered there. Mira's fate, though tragic, became part of legend, a warning to those who let envy consume them. As the years passed, Ilara often stood by her window at dusk, watching the sunset bathe the fields in gold. "Mother," she would whisper, "your love did protect me. Not through magic, but through the strength you planted in my heart. The tale of the goose girl endures because it speaks to something timeless, the strength of integrity and the cost of betrayal." Ilara's story teaches that true nobility lies not in crowns or titles, but in one's spirit. She was stripped of everything, wealth, power, even her name, yet she never lost her compassion. That was the magic no river could drown. Mira's downfall was not fate's cruelty, but her own making. Envy is a fire that consumes only the one who lights it, and the queen's handkerchief, though lost, became a symbol of something greater, love that empowers rather than protects. In every age there are those who, like Ilara, are betrayed or silenced. And yet truth, patient and steady, always rises, as sure as dawn. So the story closes where it began, in a quiet kingdom beside a silver fountain, where kindness once spoke in whispers and became a legend.